just entered the realm of dawn. This is the real story of werewolves and dogmen. Tonight we're going to explore the secrets behind the existence of the gargantuan Dogman. But be warned, this story of Dogmen is one you might not have seen or heard before. One you might not agree with. One you might never even bring yourself to accept. Nobody else will tell you what you are about to see and hear. What are they? Where did they come from? Why are they here? What can they do? Are you ready? Werewolves and dogmen have captivated human imagination for centuries, blending folklore, history, and mystery into a rich tapestry of legend. Their origins are as varied as their stories, but let's explore some unique facets of these terrifying creatures and their fascinating lore. What are their origins and historical roots? The concept of werewolves and dogmen can be traced back to ancient times, with early references appearing in Greek and Roman literature. One of the earliest and most intriguing stories involves the myth of Lycaon, a king of Arcadia who was transformed into a wolf by Zeus as punishment for serving human flesh to the gods. This tale is thought to be the basis for the term lycanthropy, derived from the Greek words lykos, wolf, and anthropos, human. In medieval Europe, the werewolf legend took on a darker hue. The belief in werewolves became entwined with fears of witchcraft and heresy. During the infamous witch trials, accusations of lycanthropy were often as lethal as those of witchcraft, with many believed to be both witches and werewolves. This led to a tragic surge in executions and persecution. So what are their capabilities and lore? Werewolves and dogmen are often depicted with a range of supernatural abilities. Traditionally, they are said to possess immense strength, heightened senses, and a rapid healing factor. Their transformation is typically tied to the full moon, though some legends suggest that they can shift at will or during times of extreme emotional distress. But there are other known capabilities they possess, such as the ability to fade themselves into invisibility to the naked eye, and they are known to do this even while being watched. When encountered directly, dogmen have been reported by many eyewitnesses to be able to instill terrifying emotions of fear, especially when one stares directly into their eyes. Putting an immense sense of fear into an onlooker is one of the dogman's greatest tools of defense and offense, as their ability to do this has been reported as so powerful that unlucky encounterers have stated that you can experience total physical paralyzation from the fear alone. This can often leave you unable to run, protect yourself fully, and even experiencing an overwhelming gut feeling of needing to throw up or vomit, due to an overwhelming and immediate stomach sickness arising and stemming from their immensely powerful ability to control your emotions. Other interesting aspects about dogman capabilities include the additional ability to run at up to speeds of 45 miles per hour or more, and even witnessed running besides or behind vehicles while keeping up with them at these speeds when angered or disturbed. Now this is where it all starts to get even more interesting. Let's talk about the types of dogmen and werewolves and their lesser-known facts. Number 1. The traditional werewolf. These are the classic werewolves that may but not always transform during the full moon, according to lore, but not according to eyewitnesses. These werewolves usually seem to always be in werewolf form as reported by witnesses, regardless of whether there is a full moon or whether seen in the night or stark daylight. They are often experienced as wild and uncontrollable, and are the second most aggressive werewolf, most often seen as standing between 6 to 7 feet tall in usual sightings. They possess from a medium to muscular buildup to an extremely well-built body frame like an Olympian bodybuilder. Number 2. The short-snouted dogman. This is a dogman archetype that bears a shorter muzzle or mouth area, which gives it its name for having more of a dog-like facial appearance. These are witnessed to be the third most aggressive of the dogman types according to sighting data. Their physical build can range from medium muscular to well-built, and can stand from 6 to 8 feet tall in usual sightings. Number 3. Coyote dogman. This type of dogman also looks just as it is named. The coyote dogman has the overall appearance of a coyote nearly from head to toe, but unlike naturally known coyotes, it can rear up and walk like a man. They possess a thinner body with the head of a coyote and are not usually very muscular. This type of dogman is reported to be the most aggressive dogman. In usual sightings, they have been reported to stand from 5 to 6 feet tall. Not much is known yet about the coyote dogman, but the knowledge of them is upticking steadily, as they are now being increasingly sighted in Quebec, Canada. Number 4. Retroflex-legged werewolf. This more rarely seen werewolf is called the retroflex-legged werewolf, or simply retroflexed werewolf, due to the fact that it is seen standing on legs with reversed knees or ankles, giving it the appearance of having legs that work or function much like the legs or ankles of a flamingo. Although this is the description used here, the legs are not thin like a bird but quite muscular still, as you might imagine a werewolf would have. Retroflex stands for the meaning of reverse bent, or bending, or opposite bending as that of a human knee. Being the rarest sighted of all werewolves, this werewolf type does not have enough sighting data as of yet for a rating of aggression levels. They can stand from 6 feet to 7 feet tall, according to most sighting data. This werewolf has also been most sighted in Quebec, Canada, as well as the upper, more northern regions of North America. Number 5. The gaunt, lanky dogman. This dogman type is very often sighted and may be the most sighted dogman of all. It can be seen as very thin to slightly muscular in build, often sighted walking on all 4 legs like a common wolf. The gaunt, lanky dogman can also rear up and walk or run on 2 legs. This dogman has head and facial features which are similar to that of the traditional werewolf. It is most often witnessed as standing 6 to 7 feet tall. It is also equally as aggressive as the traditional werewolf, coming in at an aggression level of second most aggressive as well. For unknown reasons, it is the most curious about human beings, and will even frequent roads, tree lines, open fields, and even human properties, and is the most likely to be seen peering into windows according to real witnesses. Number 6. The rougarou. In French lore, this is a werewolf-like creature known for its specific curse. The rougarou transforms from a human form to its werewolf form after committing certain sins or breaking specific taboos after being cursed by human witches of dark arts. The rougarou is very similar to the dogman in some features, yet they differ in height and their haunting lair, which is usually more hidden, such as deep, swampy marshlands. The aggression response of this werewolf is ranked at the 5th most aggressive. This is believed to be only due to its elusive nature. In North America, this type of werewolf is most often reported to be seen in the deep, less charted marshlands of Louisiana. Now get ready for number 7. The next dogman type is the last of the dogman archetypes we will mention here. This dogman is considered the king of all dogmen, the gargantuan dogman. This is the most aggressive and terrifying dogman to be reported in the world by real eyewitness accounts. Coming in as the most dangerous dogman of all, holding the number 1 place as most likely to attack humans and animals. This is due to its incredibly shocking size, stature, its massive hulking build, as well as being the dogman that holds the number 1 spot for aggression and possessing the most supernatural power. With a head alone virtually the size of a large beach ball, a mane that is twice the size of a male king lion, and its muzzle or snout alone being as large as a horse's entire head, this dogman is the arch-dogman of all. It is the 3rd rarest of dogmen to be seen behind the retroflexed and coyote dogmen. Get ready for this dogman's brain-popping stats. According to unfortunate witnesses, this dogman bears a shoulder width of up to 5 whole feet wide, hands the size of medium automobile wheels, eyes the size of a coffee cup rim, and arms that can outstretch to about the length of 2.5 broomsticks. And lastly, the gargantuan dogman stands an absolutely horrifying 10 to 13 feet tall. Still not impressed or shocked? There's even more. The gargantuan dogman has been documented and witnessed to attack vehicles on lonely, remote, far-stretching roads in the more forested areas of the northeast states of North America, where it can retreat quickly back into the deep forest line after completing its attacks. The gargantuan dogman is also known to hunt and travel in small packs or teams of 2 or more. one gargantuan dogman is attacked or overcome by hunters or armed individuals, it has been reported in incidences that another gargantuan dogman, which will be waiting and hiding, will then quickly drag the injured gargantuan dogman back into the wilderness with hasty speed in order to hide any evidence of its own existence from humans, because the hunt in small cell packs of at least 2 or more is mentioned. When you might encounter this beast, it is advised that you keep a quick eye on your surroundings, as the second or third gargantuan dogman will often be lurking beside or behind you in order to attack, using the first gargantuan dogman as a decoy. Then the real attack is launched from an unexpected direction you may not be prepared for. We will discuss more about the terrifying gargantuan dogman in just a couple of minutes, but before we do, we're going to fill you in on where you can find these different dogmen, where they come from, and other lesser-known uninformed facts. There is a very common and popular misunderstanding and misinterpretation of werewolves and dogmen. Many believers are convinced that werewolves and dogmen are also identified with the Wendigo. The Wendigo. Though not a werewolf in the strictest sense, the Wendigo from Algonquian lore is a cannibalistic spirit that can possess people, turning them into monstrous, decrepit creatures driven by insatiable hunger for human flesh. The Wendigo is clearly differentiated from a dogman or werewolf at first glance, as it has horns on its head, resembling that of a buck, deer, or elk. Do not be misled, as the Wendigo is not a werewolf at all, but a very different being which has different features, characteristics, personality traits, and locations of sightings. Therefore, a Wendigo is not classified as a dogman or werewolf. If you want to know more in-depth phenomena about other elusive cryptid creatures, stories of the strange and true eerie tales of the dark underworld, subscribe to this rare channel and ask us for the secret videos hidden in our mysterious library. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. Stay focused, because now you will learn the details about werewolves and dogmen we promised just minutes ago, where you can find these different dogmen, where they come from, and other lesser-known but highly informed facts. Lesser-known facts. Silver. The idea that werewolves or dogmen are harmed by silver is relatively modern and was popularized in the 19th century. Before this, folklore often suggested that werewolves could be repelled by a variety of substances, including wolfsbane or even religious symbols. But this is not yet substantiated by enough witness data. Curses and remedies. Many cultures have specific rituals or remedies for dealing with werewolves. In some parts of Europe, wearing a wolf's skin or using a certain incantation could protect against werewolves' lichens or lycanthropy. The world of werewolves and dogmen is as diverse as it is mysterious. From ancient myths to modern media, the legend of the dogman continues to evolve, reflecting our deepest fears and fascination with the unknown. Where can you find them? Where do they frequent the most? Reports of werewolf and dogman sightings are scattered worldwide, but some regions are notably prominent. 1. The United States. The dogman sightings are particularly prevalent in Michigan and Wisconsin. The dogman is often described as a more upright, wolf-like creature with a human posture. These reports have gained significant attention, especially in the mid-20th century. 2. Europe. France, particularly the region of Gévaudan, is famous for the Beast of Gévaudan, a series of mysterious and gruesome attacks and deaths in 1764 that some believe were the work of a werewolf. 3. The Balkans. Countries like Romania and Bulgaria have rich traditions of werewolf lore. In these areas, werewolves are often associated with witchcraft legends and are said to have been cursed with lycanthropy due to various sins or misfortunes. 4. The Appalachians. Many witnesses in the Appalachian areas have reported seeing a dogman-like creature while hiking or driving through remote areas. One famous sighting involves a group of hunters who claimed they encountered a large, bipedal wolf-like creature in West Virginia's rural areas. In the United States, several states and cities have notable reports and sightings related to dogmen and similar cryptids. While these reports often blend with local folklore and urban legends, here are some areas particularly known for their associations with dogman sightings or related phenomena. Here are the U.S. states with the most notable dogman reports. Michigan. The most famous sightings of the dogman werewolf come from Michigan. Specific cities and towns are Kalamazoo, Cadillac, and Whitehall. The dogman legend is prevalent in Michigan, with numerous reports of a creature described as a werewolf or wolfman. The Michigan dogman has been a subject of local lore since the late 1980s, with alleged real sightings and encounters contributing to its notoriety. Wisconsin. Specific cities and towns: Elkhorn, Waukesha, and Rhinelander. Notable phenomenon: Wisconsin has a history of dogman sightings similar to those in Michigan. The Beast of Bray Road is a well-known figure in Wisconsin lore, often described as a large wolf-like creature walking on two legs. Pennsylvania. Specific cities and towns: Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Altoona. Notable phenomenon: Pennsylvania has various reports of dogman sightings and related cryptids. The state's rich folklore includes stories of shape-shifting creatures and encounters with other mysterious beings. New York. Specific cities and towns: Buffalo, Syracuse, and Albany. Notable phenomenon: New York has occasional reports of dogman sightings, often linked to the broader lore of the Northeast. Some stories emerge from the rural and wooded areas of the state. Ohio. Specific cities and towns: Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Notable phenomenon: Ohio has a few reports of dogman-like creatures and encounters. The state's folklore includes various shape-shifting legends and cryptid sightings. West Virginia. Specific cities and towns: Charleston, Morgantown, and Huntington. Notable phenomenon: West Virginia, with its Appalachian background, has several reports of dogman sightings and cryptid encounters. The state's dense forests and mountainous terrain contribute to its mysterious reputation. Lesser-known areas. Maine. In the rural areas of Maine, there are occasional reports of dogman-like creatures. The state's dense forests and remote locations contribute to the mystery. Arkansas. Known for sightings of various cryptids including werewolf-like creatures, especially in its more isolated regions. Other states with high numbers of sightings are Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. During the last 1 to 2 decades, the forested zones of Texas have been a growing hotspot for dogman sightings. Now let's get back to the part you've been waiting for. Remember when we just told you would hear more about the gargantuan dogman just a few minutes ago? Well, here's your reward for getting this far. The gargantuan dogman is a lesser-known werewolf due to its rarity, but real sightings and experiences with the gargantuan have been increasing in the last 2 to 3 decades. Another special capability of the gargantuan dogman is its ability to speak to humans using telepathic words and thoughts. The gargantuan werewolf can actually speak, but it's not what you would think in out-loud words like we speak as humans. This means that if a gargantuan dogman decides to speak to a human, it will not be heard in hearable or audible words by your ears and sound. What you will actually think you are hearing are telepathic words being transported into your mind by the gargantuan dogman's powerful supernatural ability that form words and sentences in your mind that actually seem like sounded-out words or phrases. But don't be amused. This will not be a friendly conversation. The gargantuan dogman always sees a human as prey. They see humans the way a dog or cat plays with a mouse before going in for the real bite or attack. This Dogman is the most intelligent of all the Dogmen combined, possibly as intelligent as humans themselves. Every time the gargantuan Dogman chooses to speak this way to a human it encounters, it will taunt the human with fearful, terrorizing thoughts that it implants into their minds up to several times in sadistic ways. This is sometimes done to play games with the mind of its target and to instill additional fear just before a possible attack. From actual reports, it is said that if you encounter this horrifying Dogman, you may hear internal words and taunts in your mind in a guttural, deep, growling voice. You will hear it in a similar way as the warnings or taunts you are about to hear.
I've got you where I want you. There is no way to escape. Too bad you didn't choose to go the other way.
In the summer of 1992, a man named Darren was hiking in a deep, dense forested area. He, an actual traumatized witness, once told his story and said that the Dogman spoke these wily and intelligent similar words as follows just minutes before attempting a thwarted attack on him. As the terrifying situation began, Darren attempted to view what he thought was an enormous black bear from a long distance of less than 200 yards. As he began to lift his binoculars to his eyes, the ominous words he crisply heard in his mind were, "Don't do that." But after hesitating and lowering his binoculars for a moment, he looked through the binoculars again to get a clearer look at the creature, and again he heard words in his mind. The words of the gargantuan Dogman were, "If only you had not looked." Then, without warning, it threatens to attack him. In 2017, a trucker named Joe Barger had a horrific close encounter with a gargantuan Dogman while hauling a large, heavy load of paper through Michigan's Manistee National Forest around 7 p.m. After stopping to fix an air leak under the truck, he sensed an intense feeling of dread, making the hair on his arms stand up. While repairing the trailer, he heard strange noises and a howl-like roar unlike anything he'd encountered in 30 years as a hunter coming from the tree line. Nervous, he rushed to finish the repair, climbed back into the cab and began driving away. As he slowly climbed a steep hill, Joe noticed something strange. His passenger side mirror was going dark, as if a dark, massive object had been covering its view. Leaning over, he saw a monstrous creature running alongside his truck, a giant, wolf-like being on two legs stooping to look in through the window. The creature was immense, towering around 10 to 12 feet tall with jet black fur, human-like hands and eyes that seemed intelligent, darting around as if assessing him and the interior of the truck. Joe's estimate was that his freight truck was 9 whole feet off the ground, so for this thing to have to stoop down to look inside his window, it would have to be in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 feet tall. Joe panicked as the beast clawed at the window with its massive claws ripping into the paint. It was then he realized the window was open. In his terror, the gargantuan Dogman looks directly into his eyes, and he immediately gets a message. It was some kind of paranormal telepathic mind speak that was clear as a vocal sound. It said, "I gotcha, and there's nothing you can do about it." Joe is in a state of absolute shock now, but after a few moments his subconscious wakes up out of his traumatic moment and returns a thought back to the gargantuan. "Oh, you think I can't do anything about it? Well, watch this." Years of army training and countless weekends of target shooting kick into gear, and without realizing what he is doing, he reaches down into the space between his seat and his cooler and pulls out his Smith & Wesson Governor 410 revolver. In that split second, the creature realizes what Joe is holding. He fires 2 shots directly at its head. His gun isn't loaded with ordinary rounds. He's packed it with solid copper, hollow point, maximum expansion bullets designed to open up to 1.5 inches wide, tearing a 2-inch path through bone and flesh. One of the bullets hits its target, possibly in the eye socket or temple, and the towering beast drops instantly, as if it had collided with an invisible barrier. Joe quickly checks his side mirror where he can see a cloud of dust as the gargantuan hits the gravel on the side of the road. It is literally as big as a horse, with arms and legs about as big around as Joe's waist, and he guessed it must weigh in at about 1,000 pounds. Joe recognizes from his years of hunting the telltale signs of a brain shot, and that the beast could not have survived such a massive head wound, so he continues onward until he can turn the truck around to see if he can find the body of the creature. As he comes back to stop at the very spot where the creature had fallen, he sees that the beast is gone. Right in the same spot was a Jeep that had pulled over with a man and a woman dressed in black official-looking clothing, looking around as if they had lost something important. Joe stops the truck, and while keeping the incident to himself, he asks if he can help them and if they had seen anything strange in the area. The two people at the site responded by saying, "Nothing really, we just thought we saw two large bears fighting or something, and one dragging the other one away into the woods." That's when Joe remembered that when he first heard the beast at the edge of the woods while repairing his truck, he recalled thinking he saw two very large figures which looked like giant, hairy, bear-like creatures hidden in the shadows of the dense trees. They traded a few more words, and when nothing admittedly seemed to come from the two people at the site, Joe decided to continue on his route. But as he started moving his truck, he noticed the Jeep had white government-related license plates on it, and there was a shotgun sitting upwards and seemingly at the ready in the back seat. It takes about 6 months for Joe to get through his initial trauma, and nobody seems to notice his involvement with the incident until he finally comes out with his story about 12 months later to a well-known cryptid podcast team who publicizes his story. It was then that he got noticed and identified, but not in a good way, and not by the kind of people who anyone would usually expect. 3 months later, after going public, he is stopped at a truck stop way station by the state patrol, who tell him to wait there because the feds want to talk to him, so he waits. After a few hours, a black sedan with white government plates just like the Jeep pulls up, and a couple of very angry federal officials in dark suits come walking up to him exuding anger and irritation and flashing badges so fast that Joe can't even see where they're from. They say, "You killed our asset." Joe's head starts racing to recall anything to do with killing anything that would be related to government activity. Trying to figure out what these guys are talking about, it suddenly dawns on him. The government plates on the Jeep, the two individuals at the site dressed in black, the shotgun in the back seat. The only thing he's killed in the last couple of years is that massive dog beast. Joe says, "That thing was your asset? And now you're mad because I killed it?" Obviously, somebody heard his story come out on the podcast, and these guys are now assigned to damage control. They want him to stop talking, but they're not done. They go on to tell him something like, "We can do a lot of things to make sure you don't talk about this anymore. Can't keep a trucking job if you have a dirty drug test. Those dirty drug tests could happen. You might even have something happen with your money." They've done their homework and must know that Joe has a concealed carry license because they tell him, "We need your gun and your phone." Joe gives them his phone and the rifle he has in the truck, but not the gun he used to kill the gargantuan Dogman. Playing good guy, bad guy for a while, they give him his phone back. Joe asks, "What about my gun?" And they basically tell him, "Don't call us. We'll call you. And you'll be lucky if you even get it back. And keep your mouth shut about all of this, or we can make your life miserable." With that message, they let him go. But just a few days later, Joe's bank accounts are frozen. They don't stay frozen for long, but it's enough for Joe to get the message. Obviously, these guys can do whatever they want, and now they have his rifle. Who knows what future crime scene that could show up in? So Joe shuts up. For a while. Over time, and with lots of deep soul searching, only then he finally and fully realizes that these things are real and they're out there, and they're hurting people, and he has a duty and an obligation to let people know. He needs to at least try to warn us so we can be prepared both physically and mentally for a confrontation when we venture out into the woods. And he needed to let others know that these things are just like any other living being and that they can be killed. So he starts telling his story to people and doing interviews, but he still has questions. How many of these things are out there? Where did the body go? It was way too big for 2 or even 3 people to drag away. If other dogmen came in and dragged the body away, that shows a level of intelligence that can scare the blood out of just about anyone. And looking back, Joe also remembered having an uncanny feeling that the massive dogman in the passenger window was just a distraction for a closer attack from the driver's side window by a second gargantuan dogman. And why is a governing organization like the Feds involved in something like this? Why did they call this thing their asset? For those of you who may not know what an asset is in government, military, or CIA language, here is a quick rundown. In summary, an asset in government or intelligence is a critical resource or person, often a covert one, that aids an agency's mission by providing classified information, resources, or assistance without officially being a part of the organization. This could be a spy, inside person of intel, or an individual who carries out a dangerous, important mission. But there is a rare second kind of government asset, one that is not spoken about often even on the inside. It is one that is given the secret responsibility of killing for very specific reasons. Perhaps this gargantuan dogman really wasn't supposed to go after Joe on that quiet, lonely, wooded road, but in being in such close proximity to Joe in the moment, it just couldn't resist its primal urge. Its primal urge and controlled rage that is usually reserved to go after someone more specific. Maybe it just couldn't wait patiently enough for its official target to arrive. Maybe it went rogue and decided to take it out on an innocent bystander while in wait for the real target. But for whatever the reason, it was still officially called an asset. So if this is true, what could some of them be used for as assets? Only they will know. But think twice. The supernatural ability to speak telepathically by the gargantuan dogman is not the only extraordinary ability of the gargantuan. Its immense size and the mind-bending, incredible strength it possesses are a tremendous force to reckon with in any situation. The gargantuan dogman is also capable of moving from place to place at blindingly fast speeds regardless of its enormous size. Rapid healing factor. Healing factor. A high-powered gun shot through the eyes or brain or a severed head is the most likely way to kill a dogman. Many dogmen, including the gargantuan dogman, have what is called a supernatural high-speed healing factor. This means that they can heal from even the most devastating wounds within seconds, making them even all the more difficult to kill. So what's the difference between a werewolf and a dogman? The marked difference between a werewolf and a dogman lies in their transformation processes. Werewolves are humans cursed or transformed, either voluntarily or involuntarily, into wolves or wolf-like creatures. This transformation is usually triggered by a dark, magical curse or hex by witchcraft. Dogmen are more of a modern phenomenon, primarily appearing in North American cryptid sightings. Reports of dogman sightings often describe them as being permanently canine-like, without human origins or any shape-shifting involved. Dogman reports are largely based on eyewitness accounts and are typically not connected to any specific curse or magic. Physical appearance. Werewolves are depicted as having long claws and fur, and often possessing long wolf-like features like longer snouts, fangs, and long pointed ears. Dogmen are typically described as creatures with the head of a dog or wolf, with a shorter muzzle or snout, and usually shorter teeth, with ears that are not as long or pointed, with a face that is often reported to look similar to a German Shepherd or dog-like canine. So where do they come from? Physical and scientific origins. The origin of dogmen or dogman creatures, however, is harder to pin down scientifically. Sightings of dogmen are largely a modern phenomenon and tend to be tied to cryptid lore, similar to Bigfoot. However, the presence of large, canine-like footprints in regions like the American Midwest has kept speculation and evidence alive. The ethereal origin theory. Stories about dogmen suggest that these beings might exist between physical and ethereal planes, appearing as messengers or omens. Theories also suggest that dogmen may be interdimensional beings, beings capable of traveling between physical and spectral forms, entering our world from other dimensions as solid, cryptic figures only when conditions align on Earth. The cryptozoological origin theory. Cryptozoologists study and catalog these sightings, examining how they could relate to lesser-known animal species or undiscovered creatures. They suggest that these sightings could represent a rare, elusive species that has already existed throughout time and are just beginning to be discovered in recent decades by the modern world. In the studies of cryptozoology, it is often believed that the dogman has naturally evolved specific traits, such as its upright posture or canine features. Dogmen remain mysterious and compelling figures at the edges of science, educated exploration, lore, and the supernatural. Whether regarded as real entities or as reflections of humanity's fears and fascinations, werewolves and dogmen hold an enduring place in the world of mysteriously sighted creatures. These reports and sightings have been collected from a blend of local lore, historical anecdotes, and modern urban reported incidents, including traumatizing direct sightings and actual attacks. While the existence of werewolves remains within the realm of myth and legend in the frontal thoughts of most minds, these areas highlight the persistent real encounters with the mysteries surrounding these creatures. Just know, the gargantuan dogman may actually live amongst us in the depths of the woods. If you've enjoyed or gotten any eerie inspiration from this video, or you have actually seen a dogman yourself and you know what you saw, don't leave this video without clawing down on the like button. We need your help and support to make another video like this one. We hope your imagination is brimming with thoughts on the experience you've just had entering the realm of dawn. Be alert. Observe your surroundings at all times, especially after dark, and never venture out into the woods unprepared or alone again.